Welcome to this video on the most recent announcement from Conor McGregor saying he will be back in the UFC, in the cage, against Michael Chandler. I think International Fight Week, but that I don't think is fully confirmed yet, the timing, but I would suspect if he says it, it's going to happen. Apparently all signed, all done. Pinch of salt really on signed, done, but I fully expect if Michael Chandler wants to fight, it's going to be a big payday for him. If Conor is saying he's back, it's probably true. So, the ball's going to roll when Conor McGregor says it's happening. Things are happening in the background. So, really want to take this video to say, go through the fight, what I think is going to happen now. It is pretty much confirmed, and what happens when Conor McGregor returns, and what sort of is gonna the things we've got to really consider for this fight from both sides. So going through, Conor McGregor obviously coming back, obviously after a long layoff. Last fight in Poirier, obviously losing to him, and then having a problem with obviously his leg broke in that fight, and so it took him a long time to come back after that, just because obviously you got a time to recover. The injury is very severe for fighting aspect and things, so not many, and I don't think any really, fighters who've had a very similar injury to what Conor McGregor did have actually come back and looked at anywhere near the level that they were, which is a problem, which is very scary for Conor McGregor, because guess what? If you want to come back, you're going to need to look good, because Michael Chandler is a decent fighter. He is up there in that division, and he will give you a challenge and will really show if you can still, you beat him decisively, you can probably still get up to near the championship level, definitely. But if you lose decisively, it sort of shows you're on that decline, and you haven't recovered fully from that leg break. Getting into it really is that if Conor McGregor comes back and his leg is okay, which is a big if, he's had a long layoff. He's been off with this leg break. He lost 2 times against Dustin Poirier, who is looking at that championship level, but Poirier beat him twice, so that's nothing to be, really the guys beating Poirier and things, Makhachev and things, are they really going to lose against Conor McGregor? Look, you have a think about that, but I don't see it. I think Poirier, if you're getting beaten by Poirier, the guys above him are going to beat you as well. I think it's going to be very tough. Like Makhachev, you have a problem with wrestlers, McGregor does, so it's hard to see that Oliveira or even Justin Gaethje or Makhachev are going to actually have problems with you. Gaethje maybe more than the rest. I think Poirier is probably slightly better than Gaethje, but the Oliveiras and Makhachevs, the true top of that division, aren't gonna, current top of that division, aren't gonna have a problem there. But on that long layoff, Michael Chandler's also had a long layoff, waiting for just basically waiting for the McGregor fight, which is what it is, but it's not a good thing. He's really been sat waiting for this McGregor fight and just waiting, and it sort of became, until this announcement, I was going to actually make a video going, you sat your career out. You've sat like a good portion of them years in your prime. You've just sat out, which is difficult for Chandler. But now, actually, that waiting is really paid off. If it is confirmed and it is going to happen, then it is good. He has waited and he has done well, and he it's sort of a tough one. Do you wait for the McGregor fight? How many fights will you have where you'll win? And look, he is coming off a loss as well. He's coming off a loss against Dustin Poirier, a rear naked choke in round 3, I believe. But obviously had a good kick, front kick finish against Tony Ferguson before that. But that was in 2020 as well. So, he hasn't fought since basically the end of 2022. Poirier's fight was in 22. The Ferguson fight was also in 22. So that's a good... By the time we get there, you've had a year and a half off. And I know McGregor's had more, but that's been more recovery of the leg, which you'd expect. And, for Michael Chandler to have that much time off, it's a bit of a concern that you're fully fit and healthy and you're not fighting. And how ready have you been to take a fight? And how, have you really been fighting at that top level to train for basically a fight or anywhere near it in the last year and a half? Whereas McGregor, he'll be recovering his leg, but he'll probably be doing the motions to get that leg better and then going on to the fight camps and things as much as Chandler is now. You know what I mean? There'll be a very similar level of training once that leg healed. And a year and a half, okay, his leg's healed by then. And, it's sort of that problem of you sort of been out, the longer you're out, the closer you are to what McGregor is, where he's been out for injury and then been off doing, the movie that's just come out and other things. But you've been sat there doing the same, doing no MMA or any significant MMA in that time, which getting in against the best of the best is the way you make sure you are still that best. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's difficult to say who's going to win this, because I think they've been coming off both a long layoff. There isn't very much recent data on both. The only concern for me is the McGregor injury, the leg. No one's really came back from that to be anywhere near championship level. And Chandler is probably just slightly below that championship level currently. If he comes back in a very similar vein that he as long as he fell off the cliff over the last year and a half, we're taking his data from before. He's probably just slightly below that top contender places. McGregor, the leg break is a big concern. I think this is at a higher weight, I've got to believe, looking at just McGregor and what he sort of said before, which Chandler is probably the bigger guy. McGregor, in his early career at featherweight and things, lightweight, he, sometimes does look like, okay, these guys are bigger than you. They're taller, they're just more, even if they're the same height, they've got a bit more thick, can pack on that muscle more. McGregor looks like he's packed on the muscle, but it's that thing of, is it usable muscle? How much can your frame cope with and actually still use it and still have that snap that Conor McGregor was all movement before, and packing on weight doesn't exactly normally, if you look at other people who've went up weight class and things, your movement diminishes the more weight you've got on. So I think that's a tough one. I think it's a good fight though. I don't think it's going to be one-sided, like totally. I think there could be like there could be a possibility of something happening, like Conor McGregor's leg going again, or something weird like that, like he gets like Chandler takes him down and his leg goes, and it may not end the fight, but it really ends the fight there and then, because McGregor can't really move as well. But I do see McGregor coming in and actually getting a knockout and going for it. I think looking at interviews from McGregor and the worrying interviews that he's had recently, some of them, I'm a very much a McGregor fan. He made what this sport is today. The showbiz, the stars of today. He was the last generation of star, and he's been the biggest star ever seen in the UFC, and hasn't been even near to be touched. in the size and magnitude of the events he could make. And so I hope McGregor wins. It'll be good for the UFC. I think it's good for McGregor to get a win. I think he needs the UFC. I think he needs fighting to stay on the straight and narrow. To be quite honest, I think he needs it. And to be honest, you can see that he wouldn't be on his, Lamborghini yacht and all this money and all the I think he was one of the highest one of the highest paid athletes in the world, even though he didn't fight in a previous year. So he's got things outside of fighting that make him a lot of money. So why would he come back? It's not for the money. He's not going to get paid anywhere near what he's probably worth or what boxing could give him. It's because he needs it. He loves fighting. He made all this money and he thought, oh yeah, I can make a living from this, and actually became the biggest star in the whole world. And he's making so much money and has got so much money from these like the movies, just doing things. He doesn't need the money. I think he just needs it to stay saying that he is the best in the world. I can still do it. Yeah, I'm still up there. He's got to change that, because at some point he has to retire. And it's a bit concerning with the recent interviews when he's saying, I don't know when I'm back in the cage and things and all this. He's sort of a bit, there's a bit of a off. He's off. He's a pro. I won't comment really on it, but you can see it. He's not the concise guy he was when he was speaking in the ring. And now when he's got to fight back, you listen to him on a couple of interviews after this fight has been, basically he's announcing that the fight is going ahead, and it's basically like he's agreed to do it. You see the difference, and that's a big thing that he knows, I've got a fight, I need to switch it on now, and that's what he's really done, which is a good sign for McGregor. If we were not seeing that, this whole video would be about, I don't think Conor McGregor's ready. He doesn't seem as concise. He doesn't seem to be there anymore. He doesn't seem to be on the straight and narrow and ready to go into a fight against Michael Chandler, who has been waiting and ready to go. But I think it'll be a good fight. I hope McGregor gets at least a good showing. Even if he doesn't win, I think it'll be good for him to get a 5-round fight and it be competitive throughout. And if he gets a win, I think it's great for the UFC. I think he's only got 2 fights on his contract, or I don't know if it's 2 after this or this including. It might be this including, but say if he's got this fight and another fight left, yeah, it's difficult for the UFC to play that, especially with Conor McGregor, who knows there's a lot of money elsewhere for him once this fight deal is off. So they're going to have to offer him a lot of money and probably quite a few fights to keep him. And it's sort of, where in his career will he stop? And where does it become not financially viable for the money he wants to keep him within the UFC? I do believe he probably doesn't sign a new contract just because he'll be getting stupid offers from boxing to do another fight. And that's the problem. The UFC can't really compete on a single fight basis. With no contract, with no nothing. One fight will pay you this amount, which is probably near for McGregor. I fully expect if he signed a new 5-fight deal or 3-fight deal with the UFC, I fully expect he could fight Manny Pacquiao in Saudi for more than his whole fight contract. And why wouldn't you? Because it's one fight. It's a new challenge for McGregor, and if he doesn't do well in these fights, it's probably the way he has to go, because he doesn't want to be fighting, people lower than the top end of that division. So that's my thoughts. I think it'll be a very competitive fight, and I really hope it is. It should be a great fight, and I hope when Conor McGregor returns, it's a great showing, because I think he's really important for the sport. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.